Hello and welcome to the Mill. I am your host, Dusty Crane, and this week we're going to be talking Tapestry Arts and Architecture. And I'm going to be breaking down this announcement day by day in case you've missed those design diaries. If you did miss them, you can find them on Stonemaier's website, the Tapestry Facebook page, or even Board Game Geek. Without further ado, let's get to it. Wednesday, November 3rd, Tapestry Arts and Architecture is announced. It is a co-design between Jamey and Mike Young, who last year posted an early version of the arts track on BGG. Artist Andrew Bosley returns with sculptor Ron Brown. On Wednesday, we learned of the title, got the box art, and learned about a couple of Easter eggs hidden on the cover. The coolest Easter egg, in my opinion, is Jamie's girlfriend Megan. She's featured standing with kiwis around her. The bird, not the fruit. I guess Megan is fond of kiwis, so that was a cool inclusion. The box art also contains some buildings from other Stonemaier games. The clock tower from Pendulum is instantly recognizable. We also see a pumpkin house from Charterstone and perhaps a castle from Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. There's a windmill on display there too. Now, I would love to tell you that it's a cap tip to the mill here, but there's a reason I chose the mill for the show name. It was already a prominent part of Stonemaier lore with its inclusion in viticulture in Scythe. But, hey, if I tell a friend or family member it's a tribute, well, he's going to reach out to Jamey and call me on it. That's what Jamey had set out to talk about in the design diaries that day, the box art and the little teasers, but as so often happens, our enthusiasm in the Facebook live stream helped coax another little spoiler out. We get a new science die. It's a D20 this time, but Jamey will get into that and more detail later. The Stonemaier Games landing page for Tapestry A&A revealed a few other secrets that Jamey's sure to get into later as well. The blurb on the website says, choose from a variety of new capital city mats, a new advancement track featuring new types of cards and tiles, plus more civilizations, tapestry cards, tech cards, and landmarks miniature cards in the second expansion for Tapestry. There is so much goodness in this box. Let's get on to Thursday. Thursday, November 4th, the new 5th track is revealed. It was already noticed in a blurry teaser image that was sent to Stonemaier Champions, but now it's officially confirmed it's the arts track. We can see spaces named cave paintings, flutes, dance, epic poetry, symphony, carved marble sculpture, rock opera, CGI animation, flash mob, virtual reality holo center, infinite spectrum photography, and streaming implants. We also see a new card type called masterpieces. We see stuff like modern dance, graffiti, and motion picture. Jamey will explain how those work later, but he mentions that the track produces some benefits that could have been in the original game, like gain any income building. But there are other benefits too, and Jamey talked about those on Friday. We'll get to that. On Thursday, Jamey also showed pictures of the D20 that you use while playing the Arts and Architecture expansion. We'll also get a look at 3 new minis that you can earn by being the first to reach that spot on the arts track. We have a clock tower, the world's tiniest pumpkin opera house, and a very tall holo center. Since tallest building is one of the tiebreakers, it should be worth noting that on Board Game Geek, Jamey answered a question about whether the Holo Center is taller than the skyscraper, and Jamey answered that he believes so. I actually like this idea of that better than a randomly accessible building that is only available via personal landmark card being the deciding factor in a tie. Now, I personally never experienced a tie, but I could see how that would be frustrating if it came down to it. Let's get on to Friday, shall we? Friday, November 5th. Today, Jamey got into one of the areas I was looking forward to talking about, and that's the details of this new arts track, what the symbology on that track means, and how the masterpiece cards are used. We also learn of the inspiration tiles, and those are a nice addition as well. First, let's talk about those masterpiece cards, though. As you select one of the 3 masterpiece cards on offer, or a blind draw from the deck, you're essentially choosing a residual income. We see several cards. Some offer victory points for how far down the military track you are, another for how far down the exploration track you are, another for how far down the arts track you are. I think it's a safe assumption that there are cards for the other 2 tracks, but I don't think we see them. What we do see, though, is a means by which to gain a resource of any type, another that gives you victory points for tapestry cards, and so on. And these are triggered when you take an income turn. As such, it's unlikely you'll gain these benefits for more than a couple of turns, but it already feels good when your income turn rolls around and you have some income buildings already off the mat and you're collecting more resources or more victory points. So just seeing another avenue to collect those things is exciting. Those income turns are going to feel even better. And speaking of making those income turns feel even better, we got these inspiration tiles. Inspiration tiles are something you gain on the arts track, and it ends up going onto your player mat and upgrading one of your 4 income tracks. We get a good look at the military inspiration track, and it looks like the first spot is identical. The second spot nets you a resource in VP. The third is unchanged. The fourth is a resource in VP. The fifth looks unchanged, and the final spot grants you 15 VP instead of 10. So the inspiration tiles are a good way to add additional points to your score. I see a lot of questions about whether or not this expansion will serve to increase scores, and I have to imagine based on what we've seen, the answer is yes, though we'll have to see if that increase is real or imagined. And that brings us to Saturday. Saturday, November 6th. Today, as of this video's release, Jamey talked a bit about the new Tapestry cards and cultural consulting. This expansion brings 20 additional Tapestry cards, and these came about due to playtesters reporting it was hard to get all the way down the arts track, especially without the science die potentially helping you along. That particular issue was remedied with the updated science die, but there was still room to improve, and that's where these new Tapestry cards come along. We get a peek at a few cards and specifically call out an interaction with the arts track. We can clearly see on the Grange's card that all players can pay a mushroom to gain a brown income building, and if anyone does that, you would gain the benefit of wherever you're at on the arts track, essentially for the second time, right? There are other cards in the stack, but they're concealed. I have to imagine at least one of these new Tapestry cards would help you move down the arts track, right? More tracks probably means more landmark buildings ending up on your capital city mat too, right? There are cards in the expansion that also give you another place to use your landmark building or income buildings. A few examples are shown across the images Jamey shared, but one thing he calls attention to is the fact that some of these Tapestry cards have a continuous designation, which means that they can continue to be played on even after you've left the era they were played in. Of course, those are going to be Tapestry cards that you probably are going to hope to luck into in early eras so you can fully take advantage of those benefits. The final thing I wanted to talk about is Jamey mentions that Tapestry Arts and Architecture is the first Stonemaier title that they hired a cultural consultant to look over. The reason was simple. Stonemaier's stated purpose is to bring joy to tables worldwide, and our lived experiences don't necessarily reflect the lived experiences of others. As a result, we all have blind spots. And when the consultant looked over the game, she made a lot of great observations, but only recommended a single change. The space race card showed several rockets launching simultaneously. It didn't look like a space race at all. It looked like missiles being launched. And while many of us have never had to know the horror of that visual being a part of our lives, some do. And so the space race card was modified to show a single space rocket launch. I personally think that was a really cool thing to do, a really cool change to make. I know there's a lot of talk anymore about being unable to do anything without upsetting people, but this isn't that. This is simply a case of going the extra mile to try and make sure that the art carries out the Stonemaier mission. If even one person is freed of the anxiety or reminder of horrors witnessed or feared, I think it was well worth it. At least that's my belief, and I appreciate that Stonemaier continues to grow up game after game. It seems to me that it would be so easy for a company that has seen the success of Stonemaier to just rest on its laurels, and I'm grateful or pleased that Jamey and company continue to push and better themselves and the products that they put on tables. And that's all I have for you this week. We have a lot of good stuff still in the design diaries this coming week. We know there are more civilizations, more tech cards, more landmark miniatures, and yes, more capital city mats. Eagle-eyed Tapestry fans noticed that one capital city mat that is mostly off camera in one of the shots has multiple colors on the grid itself, and we're bound to see some surprises there too. So keep your eagle eyes out for the remaining design diaries. Next week, I will be bringing you an unboxing, and a few days after that, you're going to start seeing reviews drop too. There's content coming from Tim Chuan, Thinker Themer, Tantrum House, Kavre, and more great folks. Oh, and we'll be getting a tutorial video from Canada's board gaming #1 son, Rodney Smith, over at Watch It Played, so there won't be a single reason for me to play this expansion wrong. But I probably will still goof it up. Oh well, as long as we're all having fun, right? Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Thanks for watching.